at the end of the day, he gives us free will. He's not making me do things. He's not making me feel this way. He's saying, come to me and I can help you not feel that way. And I'm just like, I don't really care about that right now. I'm choosing to feel justified in my feelings.
Yeah, in your pain. You're choosing pain.
I'm choosing pain. And one day I woke up and I was like, why are you choosing this pain?
And then it helps me not be self-righteous.
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh, I was the one doing the Bible study, so that's why she's here. Why she's here? Because of me.
Because you couldn't take credit.
And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
Because you weren't even near me. You weren't around.
I've never met anyone with a story quite like Mary and Rashad's. You've got the church boy who walked away from faith for the club scene, and the Catholic girl who completely resented God. Brought together by their rebellion, they did everything they could to run away from their brokenness. Their story has it all: casinos, clubs, cults, even jail. It's almost like a movie, right? But this isn't a movie. This is Mary and Rashad's real life. And even when I thought I'd heard their story before, I realized I've only scratched the surface. Because the deeper we went into their journey, the more it was clear that only God could have written a story like this. I'm Malio Garcia Pablo, and you're listening to Making Changes from incmedia Audio, a podcast about the changes we go through and the life lessons we learn along the way, but always with God by our side. Today's guests share their journey from before they became members of the Iglesia Cristo Church of Christ, the circumstances that would lead them to seek God so deeply. I know this is our first time meeting, but I feel like I've known you all because of the stories we've done on you on incmedia. So thank you for taking the time to be with us on Making Changes.
Oh, no, thanks for having us.
Okay, so when we were doing the research for this, your lives are so layered with so many different stories and so many, just so many different layers of life. So I wanted to go back and really start with, how did y'all meet? How did Rashad and Mary meet?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, there was this fundraiser at a casino. Okay.
It's interesting already.
A casino, yes.
So Mary there.
We were wearing the same colors.
You said wearing the same color, But interesting enough, her friend brought her over to me and was like, "You guys are wearing the same color."
Oh, okay. What color was it? We took
pictures. It was blue. I had on like a suit, and I think I had church that day. I was going to church out there in Pennsylvania, and I think we exchanged numbers. And then when I really left that church, we were in the clubs.
So from casino to clubs.
Yes.
To clubs.
Anywhere alcohol was available, we were there, basically. Yeah.
And, we just, we created a friendship from there. But it really just came down to hanging out, being interested in each other in a worldly way, if I could say it like that. And, but we just started watching movies. I didn't realize she lived right up the street from me.
4 blocks away.
Oh, wow.
So I would go by his house every day, like every morning to go shopping. He lived right by the grocery store.
And you didn't even know.
Never saw him.
The both times you guys had met at the casino, then the club, you didn't know you were practically
right
neighbors.
Yeah.
So what was it about Rashad that you liked, and aside from wearing the same colors? But
he's very handsome.
Sure is. And you're a looker too.
Yeah, but he's a very handsome man. He was very well spoken for himself. He was educated. He was in college. He was searching for God, and he was just something out of the everyday, ordinary life that I had going on. He was something different from all the other guys that were around, and something sparked about him. Something sparked.
And what'd you think of Mary?
Well, again, just coming out of a church environment, that whole situation in my life, leaving that church, leaving, the relationship that I was in, which was a young marriage that shouldn't have happened. And just like she said, coming from having this type of energy to come into the club, but not looking for anything like that, but just wanted to experience a little fun. I was in my 20s. I'm like, I didn't do anything yet. I didn't do anything. And then Mary was just like this tour guide to, the world and having a good time. But
I really was. I really was.
It was. It was just like.
I really was.
But, meeting her, and just having our relationship bud from there was just, it was interesting. It was just, for me, knowing that I was different and like kind of like a square in the club, I could feel that energy, but at the same time, I just wanted to be free from the hurt. And, you know, she was there. And,
trying to free myself from the hurt.
You know, it was just like yeah.
So we're both freeing ourselves from the hurt, but in a negative way, which never really helped.
Right.
It helped for like that moment.
Trying to find something.
Yes.
With no
to
guidance.
free you from the hurt.
With no guidance.
So you mentioned, Rashad, that you had come from church and you went to the casino. So what was your spiritual life at the time? I mean, obviously you were living dual lives and not really sure of who you were,
so to speak.
And like,
oh yeah, I mean, look, it came down to, you know, I followed this church to Scranton, Pennsylvania. You know, we started it in New Jersey. It was
so you're part of starting the church.
Yeah, it was non-denominational. This one guy that I was following in New Jersey, and he was a real dude, actually from East Orange, from this area,
right,
from North.
From this town.
Yeah, so it was just, it was a breath of fresh air for me. And, you know, I followed him to Pennsylvania. We built the church out there, but then that just went, he showed his true colors. And that hurt me severely. And a lot of my friends came from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, and, you know, we're walking around town, knocking on doors, saying, hey, come to church. We were like in our young 20s.
Really evangelizing.
Like, I was 21 years old.
At 21?
Yeah, actually 20. And then, you know, going on, and we were there for like 7-8 years.
At 21, you know, 21, 22, early 20s, most young men would be out, like what Mary was doing, just partying and just not even thinking about church or about God. But why were you at 21 that spiritually conscious? Like, where does that come from?
So like in high school, you know, I had a very rough time. Lost my grandmother, which was my best friend who introduced me to Christ. That was my ace in the hole, like, you know, getting a little emotional, but really miss my grandmother. My girlfriend at the time was pregnant, 16 years old, lost that child. And then, you know, going through that miscarriage and losing the child that I was preparing for, and losing my grandmother at 16, 17. I wasn't going to school. I was just hustling and going to work, and just, you know, I was always just trying to put money in my pocket and erase this pain.
You were lost.
I was lost. But, you know, I had a great family support, though, you know, thank God. But then I was searching. I went to my grandmother's church, and it was a new pastor there. It was a woman pastor, Pastor Owens. She took me under her wing. It was great, you know, and then it wasn't great.
Do you think that your searching for God was, obviously it was your grandmother that planted that seed for you, but after she was gone, was it just to stay close to your grandmother, or was it for something deeper?
No, I really did connect with God. I knew, you know, the stories of the Bible. I was in the choir. I did the plays during all of the holidays, the Christmas plays, the Easter plays. So I could really get into the stories, not knowing that those holidays weren't really of God, but at the same time, I still created a relationship. And then I could see the pain of the world. And I know what was happening in my neighborhood with young females, with young males, you know, some of my family and friends hustling, selling drugs, some robbing, you know, just the lifestyle. Knowing where we came from, there's a big heart, but then there's this suffering it's like righteousness and unrighteousness being mixed. And you can see that the
righteousness wasn't as loud.
No, but it's all there. It's like
there,
all on the table. So it's like, you know, you have everything to choose from. And I can see everybody choosing from the unrighteousness, but feeling like it's like, I have to survive. So that really created a prayer life for me. And they asked me, you know, I started to pray for the church. When I was young, they used to ask me to pray. And I was just really thinking about all of the issues, you know, that was going on.
You're trying to like fix the world in a way while trying to fix your own life. Because
I said to myself, you know what? Because I was failing very badly in college. I had like a 1.6, 1.7. It was bad.
Just showing up.
I was just all over the place. And I realized, I was like, you know what, God? If you equate to good, because I had this thing on my wall, what's next? I had this little phrase I cut out of a magazine and said, what's next? Because felt like always something bad was going to happen. I would have this like little brief time of peace and happiness and, ooh, life is all right. And then boom, something bad happens.
We're always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Always waiting for that to happen. And it was time to try him out. So I really got aggressive with, just trying to find that relationship, and my friends were doing it too. So that was also helpful that, close friends of mine were all searching for God.
So while he was searching to fill his own void and trying to find answers, where were you in your life at the time?
How old were you? 20, 21?
Yeah, that's before I met you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was Hayden's mom at that age. I had a baby, Hayden, at 19 with his father. His name is John. So I lived with John and my son in Pittston, Pennsylvania. And I had no part in God. And John was an atheist. So it kind of helped me to not seek God, because if John was an atheist, it didn't really matter, so.
But growing up, what was your, what did you know about God growing up, or if any?
Yeah, I knew about God growing up, but I thought God was a Trinity growing up. I thought God was God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic church. I went to Catholic worship service. I went to Catholic catechism, Catholic bake sales. It was hard growing up Catholic because I felt my parents didn't really follow the Bible.
Would you say they were practicing Catholics or just Catholic by name?
It's hard because we celebrated the holidays. My mom took us, all the kids, 6 of us, to church. But my dad, who was the biggest God advocate, always stayed home drinking. So while he's go to church, you need to go to church, he's home drinking at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, or maybe he's sleeping because he had too much to drink the night before.
How did that confuse you as a child?
That confused me all the way, because you're supposed to be in charge of me and you're supposed to lead me. How can you lead me? My mom took us, but she's not the father, the head of the household. So to watch my father order us to go and then him not go, I was just like, that's when I started kind of like rebelling towards my parents and not listening as much and not doing what they told me to do. Because if you're not doing what you tell me to do, how can I do? Why should I do it?
There is no integrity.
There's none. There was none. And I'm sure that they were doing the best they could, because I think my mother was a Protestant before, and she what's the word? Converted. She converted.
Yeah.
She converted to Catholicism for my father, because he wouldn't marry her unless she was converted.
Oh. So your parents were pretty, they weren't just by name. They actually really tried to practice their faith.
We went to church every Sunday. We had Jesus all over the wall. We had crosses everywhere. My dad had a room. His room was full of statues.
But he never went to church.
But he would never go to church.
He was like, it's in this room.
This is what I need. This is it,
How did that then confuse you with your own relationship with God and spirituality in general?
I didn't think God existed at a certain point. I'm like, how could he give me to these parents? Because my dad was an abusive alcoholic.
Oh.
He wasn't like a nice gentleman who drank. He was an alcoholic who dumped his beer over my head or pushed me or hit me or spanked me with the belt. And when I say spank, I don't mean spank like a nice, gentle pat on the butt. I mean, took his belt off to whip me over the table with it.
Wow.
So it's hard to want to listen to someone who you're afraid of and who you fear. Yeah. And if you do say something back to them like, this doesn't make sense, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're not just in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
You're in a lot of trouble for a long time. I've been grounded for months on end in my room, just in my room.
Wow.
Not able to do anything.
So do you think that resentment that you had towards your dad for being an alcoholic, being abusive, do you think that resentment also kind of transferred over to how you viewed God?
I absolutely resented God, 100%. I really did. I was like, why won't you help me? Why won't you save me?
Mary and Rashad's story is so incredible that we had to split it into 2 parts. Part 2 drops next week with their baptisms, family reactions, and how they're navigating marriage and parenting with God at the center. Subscribe now on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss it when it goes live. Trust me, you will want to hear the rest of their story. Now back to Mary and Rashad.
I was helpless, and I had 5 siblings, so I started to become the rebel in the family because I just couldn't take it anymore. Me and my brother were hit the most out of all of us.
Wow.
And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I started, saying no and not wanting to do things and coming home late and staying out with my friends and seeing that my friends' parents didn't hit them.
Mm-hmm. Because did you think
shocking.
That was normal?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
She had a sleepover and we slept in her attic, which was like the girls' rooms made over. And no one came to hit me at night because I wasn't sleeping, or no one came to tell me to get back in my room because I had to go to the bathroom. There was none of that anger.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized this isn't what life should be.
Wow.
It's not.
So do you think that also seeing what kind of man your father was or what your dad lacked as a father, as a man, how did that transpire into what you would be looking for in a man?
It's the opposite. He's the opposite of what I wanted in a man. I wanted a man who didn't hit their children. I wanted a man who was gentle with their children, who was kind to me, who was respectful to their wife, because I've seen my dad be so disrespectful to my mom, and
did you think that existed?
I thought it was just normal. I thought it was just the way families were. I thought it was normal.
So obviously you both are living, you've had brokenness in your pasts, right? And in different ways, you both had hurt in different ways. And so when you came together as a couple before you were married, what do you think your expectations were of each other?
I had no expectations of Rashad, and that's kind of what I liked about it. That I didn't expect Rashad to be my boyfriend. I didn't expect him to bring me flowers. I didn't expect him to take me on a date. I didn't expect him to be romantic.
Well, for me, it was like a new world, because I know, in my previous marriage, it was this was a good friend of mine that I shouldn't have married, but she was so mean to me, and I was just I was used to, when I watched my parents got divorced, and I saw them argue, and I seen them argue aggressively, and I seen them make up, of course, and, they're amazing people. All of us have our issues, there's no judgment anywhere. But when I saw our lives turning into that, especially, if you look at the environment I was in, I was there, we were building a church, we were creating, trying to make a mega church and be a married couple in a church and, follow the life of God. But it was just so the opposite. It just felt terrible. And I needed to, I guess the expectation I was looking for was just a woman to be nice to me and to, I love to take care of people, but I just wanted somebody to kind of think of me and I put so much out there, but not for to get it back. But I think quietly, it's if I do all this for somebody, if I do all of this, if I do all this from my heart, maybe they're oh, let me do it for them too. But a lot of time when I throw that boomerang back out there, it doesn't come back, So, meeting Mary, it wasn't like that, I think her having different things prepared, when I used to come, when I moved away from Pennsylvania and I used to come to visit, just the care and the thought that she had for me was very, very nice, and, again, just to keep it real, never dated a white person before.
I was going to talk about the interracial
aspect
of it.
He's never dated someone out of his race before.
I definitely outside of my race, but not
the Spanish girl.
Not white. White, not white,
not white.
But even though it was a new experience for me, I would tell people, because they would ask me what's going on, Sean? You know what I mean?
Girl? How dare you?
My favorite line to them, it was if I close my eyes and the way she treats me versus the way my ex treated me, And my ex was straight from Africa. You know what I mean? So like, it's no judgment against any race. It doesn't matter who you are. It's the way you treat people.
Yeah.
And the way she treated me was just like, I was like, oh, this is new. But still being hurt. It wasn't always perfect, you know, and I did end up hurting Mary as well. I'm not going to keep, it's not like I'm Prince Charming, like all the things that she wanted.
You were in the beginning.
Yeah,
you were Prince Charming in the beginning.
Yeah, so like.
They all.
Yes, yes.
But yeah.
So you both, you know, hurt each other, your past hurt you, and you had a lot of baggage really coming together, right? And coming together, although it was, like you said, it was better than what you had. And even though it's kind of ironic that you both ended up with partners that were similar to, you know, what we
were escaping.
Yes. Right. So you knew he was a churchgoer, obviously was starting a church, but you didn't want to have anything to do with God. So even though you guys had some kind of relationship going on, how did you reconcile the differences in beliefs?
Well, at first we didn't have to, you know, for a few years we didn't have to. It didn't matter. And then, you know, once we started to make things more serious, and then we had Grace out of wedlock. So I believed in God at this time, but I wasn't fully into, you know, obeying and reading the Bible again and getting back into it until I got a DUI. I got a DUI in Pennsylvania. When me and Rashad were in an argument, I left. I went to go see, because that's where all my friends live. I went to go see them. We went out. We were drinking. I got stopped by the police. It was just too cold to do the test outside. It was like 26 degrees. So I was like, just take me to jail. And they did.
Just book me.
Just book me. And they did. And they booked me. And they booked me for a DUI. And they found me guilty of a DUI. And I had to go to prison for 3 days.
Oh.
They wanted me to do house arrest, but I couldn't leave to go to Pennsylvania and leave my children. So I chose the 3 days in jail, which he did not want me to do. He said, you're not doing that. We'll make arrangements. I said, no, this is my punishment. This is what I have to do. But it actually happened while I was in jail. Before I went in, I asked God for a few things, 3 things, you know, and one of them was a good cellmate, because, you know, you're going to be in there. You're going to be locked in a room with another woman you don't know why she's there. So I asked for a good roommate, which he delivered. He fully delivered. She gave me her clothes.
I've never had it. I would say, I'm going to ask this one thing from God. Please give me a good cellmate.
Please, because, you know, I have to be locked in a room with her, you know, and we sleep next to the toilet, you know, so she's got to be nice, right? So I get there. She gives me all her food. She gives me her clothes.
So you said you asked God for a good cellmate. Yeah. What kind of relationship did you have with God at the time that you could be like?
Not a single iota of relationship with God at that time.
But at the moment you wanted to establish one because
I knew I was going to a place I've never been, and a place that could potentially be dangerous. I mean,
potentially.
Thank God it wasn't. And
slammers.
You know, it was intense getting there. You do have to do all the things. Like they say, you have to be strip searched.
Yes.
You have to do things that you don't want to do to make sure you're not carrying any weapons.
Right.
You know, and then they give you the jail clothes, and you got to pee in front of everybody. You got to take your mug shot, and then they take you on this long walk to your jail cell, which was the D block, which was where people who harmed people were, and people who were doing terrible things that other people were.
How did those 3 days change you, Mary?
Those 3 days in jail, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, was the best time I could have had in jail. Not because it was fun. It wasn't like fun. It wasn't a party, but I had learned so much about myself, but I also learned things about other people. I learned the girl that my cellmate was there, she was there because she's a drug addict. And she likes drugs, and she prefers drugs, and she would rather live on the street and do drugs than anything in the whole world.
Wow.
But there was my cellmate thinking of me the whole time, making sure I felt comfortable. She was cleaning the floor with a menstrual pad to make sure it was clean. She was cleaning it with nothing but the soap from the sink and a menstrual pad to make sure that her cell was clean, because she's there all the time. Wow. And it made me feel like this could be me. Like if I don't check myself with this alcohol, this could be me. What could be next for me? What if I'm trying to chase this pain that I feel out of me, and I chase it so hard that I replace it with something that's even worse?
That could kill you.
That could kill me. So seeing these women in there, one woman was in there because she allegedly, is what she told me, she allegedly stabbed her boyfriend. I'm pretty sure she stabbed her boyfriend. I'm pretty sure she stabbed him. She didn't seem upset about it, but that also made me think, like, imagine getting to that point where you've stabbed somebody and you're not upset about it. It doesn't affect you.
It hasn't sunk in that you've actually stabbed someone.
And that you're in jail.
Yeah. And so she's in jail, Rashad. And where are you in your life right now? The mother of your child is in jail.
Prison, actually. It was a prison.
What's the difference with jail and prison?
Jail is like where they hold you.
Okay.
And a prison is like where you serve a sentence. So it
you
has like
served
murderers.
a sentence.
Yeah,
is that 3 days considered a sentence?
72 hours, yeah, by the judge, and a fine, a nice fine, but
yeah.
But yeah.
So where were you in your life at this time?
Doing my 28 lessons.
In the Church of Christ.
Yeah.
Which I told them I didn't want a part of.
Before she got arrested, before she went to prison, I think I was wrapping up my 28 lessons.
Let's back up a little bit.
Yes.
How did you become introduced to the Church of Christ?
Yeah, well, it wasn't immediate. I would say almost a decade ago, I was introduced, and I came. I came to services, I came to Bible studies.
You were already you had your own church.
Yeah, I know. At that point, I was always visiting different churches.
Okay.
So just that whole concept of, God is everywhere, and I was very spiritual at that time. I was really just like, I need that relationship with God, because being so hurt by people, I was like, let me not just invest in somebody else that's a human being telling me the message. Let me focus on the message, because getting so caught up in that person that's giving me the message that can make a mistake. And when I saw these leaders that I was following make mistakes, it deterred me from, my relationship with God. Just like Mary said with her dad, that's always preaching, go to church, but he's not doing the things that he's trying to teach you. And that kind of hurt me as well. So just searching for God, I would always say yes to an invitation to
any church.
Any church, because I want to know what it is, So I would do my own things. I was came to the church, and always did listen, but I kind of was combative with some of the ministers. Like, of course, Jesus is God. Like, don't you see John 1:1? Don't you see, but not fully. It was more emotional versus having understanding and knowledge of
biblical
the
knowledge.
Word,
So you, on and off, you're coming to the Iglesia and Cristo for a couple of years, 6 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And you're coming in and out, seeking, searching. What was the point where you said, all right, I'm going to try the Bible study lessons? This wasn't the first time Rashad would attend a Bible study in the Iglesia and Cristo. His search had brought him to accept the invitation over and over again. But what made this time different? Listen or watch Rashad's answer on Spotify by scanning the QR code on the screen. It's an answer that will eventually shape the next part of his and Mary's life.